Good afternoon. It's Monday and it's 1ish. So you know what time it is. It's time for Dream Do Done, your accountability podcast with Serena Brown Travis, the pulpit chick, Deborah Hartley, the how-to coach, and myself, Dr. Stacy NC Grant, Chief Faithpreneur.
Girl, talk about waking up. Listen, if you're not
super
up,
producer.
now you are, right?
Yes, we wanted to give you the music twice, give you a little action to wake you up. It's your favorite accountability podcast. I mean, there's nobody here 1ish on a Monday, every single Monday. This is season 3, and we appreciate that you tune in to Dream Do Done. From process to progress. It's not overnight. It's a continuation of learning, growing, expanding, and having fun. I mean, at this stage of my life, honey, if it's not fun, I'm not doing it. All right. So I just want to be clear. So
Do you have those labeled?
Right.
Absolutely. I love thinking that I'm a producer, so when Byron Allen or Oprah calls me, they could say, oh, she has some production experience. These are my production credits.
Well, I'm also beaming. I'm laughing and happy for you because you have such an exciting week coming up. So, I mean, you have the graduation of your baby boy, and so we're just all excited for you. So I get all the bells, whistles, the applause, the horns. I mean, everything. I get it.
Yes, I am excited, Serena. And on top of that, my baby, she's my daughter without labor pains. That's what I refer to her as. She got married on Friday, so I'm still on a high from that. So, yeah, it was just, oh my goodness. Her mother and I standing together watching her. She was like, this is your baby. I was like, I know. Thank you for having her for me.
That is too funny. That is too funny.
So, yeah, I'm still wired. So it's going to be one of those shows, family. But we thank you for tuning in and being here. Yes, Omea Jenkins is graduating from high school. I can't believe it. On Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all the dads. My husband is like, no one pays attention to Father's Day like they pay attention to Mother's Day. I'm like, that's not true, honey.
Wait, it's so funny. I saw a TikTok where it says the difference between mom and dad. So dad comes out and announces he's about to leave. Does anybody want to go? They didn't even look up. It was like all the kids sit on the couch. They didn't even look up that he's going to dance like, nah, dad, that's fine. Whatever, Then the mom comes out. She's like, I'm about to go. They was like fighting each other trying to go with this. Like, can we come? I said, so I think across the board, dads feel a little slighted.
Hey, we carried him for 9 months. I mean, I love my daddy, and I know we all that are blessed to have fathers in our lives can understand what it means to have them. But a mother carries you.
Yeah.
And, I said I wasn't going to be that mom to remind my kids of how many months I carried them and how long the labor was. But there comes a time when we need to remind them.
I'm so that mom. Like, really? 22 hours and I get this? Oh, okay. Go ahead then.
I sure do it. And then I go through all the theatrics of what I could feel, what that pain was. And then they're like, Mom, really? Really?
Wait, how I am on their birthdays? I'm like, so where's my gift? Like, I'm the one that was giving birth today.
That's a good one. I mean,
22 hours and nothing. Okay.
Yeah, I may have to flip the script with my kids.
You were born, but it's my birthday. I gave birth to you today. Where's my gift?
And that's so funny because my husband always says congratulations and happy birthday to his mom on his birthday. That's their thing that he says, like, oh, that's so cute, because he's the oldest. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. I tell my parents, isn't it wonderful? Like, this day happened. Like, your life was totally changed. Like, when I came into the world.
Yeah, so happy Father's Day.
Yeah. The moral of the story.
After we've made it all about us. Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Oh my goodness. So yes, we're looking forward to a wonderful weekend celebration. For my husband, I know it'll be a moment seeing his baby graduate on Father's Day. So yeah, looking forward to that. Never all the graduates. So many people are celebrating graduations, and some people are celebrating 2020 graduations with gatherings because they weren't able to get together because of the pandemic. So it's great to see that we can assemble. I hope everyone is still being careful, because COVID didn't disappear. It didn't, exit stage left. It's still very present. So we have to be mindful how we choose to move about. I know a lot of states are opening, a lot of things are happening, but just being mindful that we still have vulnerable populations that this virus is still impacting. So we hope that you are mindful about that. So before we get into the rest of the show's content for today, because of course we have some content for you from our Dreams You've Done journal, how was your weekend, Sabrina Brown Travis? What did you do, Pulpit Chick?
It was good, and the Pulpit Chick did just what my name says. I was studying for some reason. I have no reason to study extra, but I was literally just reading books all weekend and looking outside, sitting on my porch. I know this is like, silly to talk about, but my husband sprayed the best mosquito spray outside. So, hey, it's just small things in life these days. So the mosquitoes they love me. Ooh, child, they love my ankles. I mean, they be getting my ankles real good. But this time, whatever he put out there. So husband was the hero for this weekend. But yeah, just really studied and took some stuff in, took knowledge in, which was really good because I didn't have to then write a paper and regurgitate it and do anything else. So just to sit and read and just be by myself. So that was cool.
I love that. Well, you get a round of applause, darling.
Thank you.
And what about you? How to, Coach?
Yeah, so my weekend, yes, it was very relaxing. I did keep my grandkids over the weekend. I shared last week, my daughter is actually at a training event for the Air Force. So she is gone for 6 weeks. And I feel so bad for my little itty bitties because, they're not used to being without their mom. And, my 3-year-old, he's just going through some changes, not seeing his mom every day. I said, those are the things we do not think about. So had them over and we had some pool fun out in the back. So that's pretty much what I did. It was so hot, but I said, I'm not going to be one of those people who complain about it being so cold and then it gets hot. And I'm like, what? It's so hot. But I enjoyed the weekend.
That's awesome. We have to give your daughter a round of applause for her service and for you being a great grandma. And, I'm sure that her husband appreciates.
I'm a great lovely.
I was going to say, she has a name.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes,
I forgot.
They call me Lovely.
All right, Grand Lovely. I forgot. That sounds like my mother when she became grandmother. She was like, "No, Granny Love." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "You're a rapper now?" Like, what? Granny Love. I'm like, what is that? Lovely, Grand Lovely. I hear you, honey. That is beautiful. But definitely, we don't take into consideration the sacrifices that families make when someone decides to go into the armed forces, right? That's a real commitment, and freedom isn't free. We said that on the Memorial Day recap, and we just definitely want to send our hearts and prayers out to all families who are in that same situation, because, the world is very volatile right now, and we just pray for our troops. We pray for peace. We pray for sanity, because I don't know. It's like the Looney Tunes took over for a period of time. I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm just really concerned about what's happening. So election season for those states that have primaries like mine, this is an opportunity to really elect leadership that can effectuate the right kind of change and transformation in our communities. We need a lot of help and a lot of healing post-COVID. So, I know it's an ambitious goal, but I will continue to see the glass half full and not half empty. Hope springs eternal that the right people will be elected to office to impact our children's children. We're getting to the point where things are affecting us, but we have to think about our children and their children and what this world is going to look like with the people we put in office. So this is not WWRL or one of the news shows. This is Dream Do Done. So we are going to now transition over into content from our journal. For those of you who haven't purchased it yet, it's available on Amazon, and we invite you to go ahead and grab your copy so you can follow along when we highlight certain parts of our information here on the site. And you can go ahead and close this. I don't know why this is open. Like, why this open? Nobody need to see the reading list, but that's what happens in post-production. So you can go ahead and get your journal, A Dream Do Done, and you can read a little bit about it actually on Amazon. It gives you a little sneak peek so you know what you're getting, but it just really holds you accountable for the things that you say that you want to do. And it's a nice size for you to write. We have a lot of notes pages so that you can capture everything, because it's one thing when you're like writing in a book and there's not enough places to write, and then you're finding another book to put the information in. And we made it user friendly so you can really adapt it to how you move. Some people like to highlight, some people like to put bullets, some people like to number. So you really have an opportunity to go through and make this your own and utilize it in a way that you actually see the results. So Tamara is going to read her quote for the section that we are focused on today.
So I really love this particular quote too, because this is kind of the foundation for the book that I wrote, Stop Wasting Your Time Blaming Others for Your Life. One of the things that I found when I was much younger is that I was always pointing fingers. And I found that when you point the fingers, you're really giving up your power. So one way to take back your power and your control is to say, you know what? I got me here. Right here, wherever you are, you got yourself there, and you also have the power to get yourself out or to make some changes, some positive changes in your life, or begin to make those moves to move where you want to be. So by taking the responsibility, that's powerful. That's saying, okay, I acknowledge that I'm in control. So today's quote is, take back your control by taking full responsibility for you and your results. Because so often we leave our results up to somebody else. It's one thing to acknowledge that you have the power, you have the control, but then you depend on somebody else for some results. You're mad at so-and-so because she didn't show up and she said she was going to do this for you and she didn't do it. And now your event is just garbage because she didn't do what she said she was going to do. Honey, you are in control. And when you operate in that way, responsibility for you and your results. I used to work for a company, and one of the things that was often said is inspect what you expect. And a lot of times we don't do that. We just let it go. Okay, I put the directive out there, or I said it, or I told them what I want. I'm going to sit back and watch it happen. No, you have to be involved and be in charge of those results. If something goes awry, you're there to make some changes. You're there to do something different, but you're in charge of those results. And I think that's very empowering.
Absolutely, because this is what happens when you sit back and wait.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And nobody's going to care more about you and your results than you. No one.
Well, I think one of the most important things you said, and I don't know why the light bulb just went off for me, but you said, if you got yourself here, you can think yourself out of here. And I don't know why that resonated so much with me, but I know that you all know the struggle of, pulling me and, providing a ladder, but you guys got down in the trenches with me. It was like, come on, sis, we doing this. Come on. You all became my cheerleaders for sure. But I did not realize, yes, I was real busy pointing at everybody who got me where I was. Well, they shouldn't have said this, and had they done what they were supposed to do, then I wouldn't be. I mean, it was just a snowball effect of pointing fingers, and I had real rationale. However, you can argue and say, oh, well, so and so dropped the ball, or someone didn't honor their word. But I mean, you are so right. If I got myself here, I can get myself out of here. And I mean, girl, you could drop the mic after that. That was I'm gonna have to write that one down for me.
And look, it's so hard sometimes to admit that you're the one that got you here, particularly if you're in a space that you don't want to be in, or it's an uncomfortable space, or something's going on. But if you blame other people, it's like, oh, you know what? It's Serena's fault that I'm here, that I'm looking for Serena or some other savior to get me out, and I'm wasting time. It's sometimes this is the way I look at it. If I put it on Serena, and I'm picking on Serena because she's the baby sister of the bunch, she'll get on me later. But if I put it on Serena, then my responsibility is that I'm the one who put it on Serena. I gave Serena that control and that responsibility. So therefore, it's still my fault. It's still on me. I'm still in control. And that's how we have to look at things sometimes, because it is very easy to blame others because you feel like, okay, that takes the heat off of you. Because it's hard to say I got myself into this tight situation, my back up against the wall, but it's still a powerful place to be, because once you realize it, you really can make some changes, do something different. You did this to get here. You depended on this person. You thought this person was this. Make some different choices. Surround yourself with different people. There's always power in that new choice.
Absolutely. And we say here, take full responsibilities for you and your results. It's easy to blame others, our environment, or the economy for where we are in our life, relationships, business, and careers. Take full responsibility for where you are in your life and take control of your circumstances to overcome life's challenges. It's simple. If you don't like something in your life, change it.
Change it. Now, I know y'all looking for a magic formula, a magic pill, but it's really just that simple. If you don't like something, change it. That's how much power that we have.
Serena's like, that could preach.
I've been in this life for 40 years, and now I'll be honest though, it sounds really good, but the most powerful statement, if you don't like something in your life, change it. It also requires a bit of honesty for us, a bit of honesty within, to actually be honest enough to say, well, how did I get here? And what were the steps that got me here? And what are the steps that can bring me out? But it does require honesty. And it may be sitting with some honesty that you don't like, some truths that are hard to look at. If someone is indeed responsible for where you are, then it may require some honesty that the relationship didn't turn out the way you thought it would have, or the business transaction fell through. But all is not lost. We know that failure, as Winston Churchill said, failure is not fatal. And so, yes, if you find yourself in a place where you don't like, it's almost like, duh, change it. So, I love it. I love it because I know your personality. Stacey, you read it very well, but I know your personality, and I can see you putting a little snap on the end to change it. Like, what are you doing?
Like what? I don't know. I'm a movie buff, so I'm always quoting movies. But in the movie where the girl went to Harvard, I can't even think of the name right now because it escaped me. She went to Harvard, and she was like this blonde airhead. And someone said, like, you got into Harvard, and her response Legally Blonde. Legally and so blonde. Her response was, like, what? Is it hard? Like, is it hard? I look at so much stuff like that. That's my favorite line because I identify with that. Like, yeah, like, was it hard? Like, why are you so surprised that I got in? Is it hard for most people? Change it.
I love it.
Yeah, that's a good movie. Those let me go down the movie lane. We'll be quoting movie titles, but it's true. Change it. And it's that simple. We overcomplicate it. We get caught up in feeling like there's some sort of failure that will be attached to us for eternity because something didn't go right. Half of the world has experienced something not going right, and the other half is waiting to experience it, right? Yeah. So you don't get out of life without something going topsy-turvy, something being uncomfortable, something not going the way that you plan. But the people who continue to achieve are the people who get up and keep moving, right? Yeah. They don't get stuck in that place, and you get over yourself. That's why levity and laughter, it's important. Don't take yourself that serious. Don't get so caught up in you thinking that you're so fantastic and there's nothing wrong with you. Girl, bye, right? All of us have something that we experience or go through, and we're better for those challenging moments, right? They get us through to another space of growth and opportunity. And that's what this whole broadcast is about. How do we hold ourselves accountable in the process? Not just the shiny pictures, not just, what looks like, oh my gosh, Serena, you're Les Brown's daughter. Like, oh my gosh, like Tamara, like you're the how-to coach. Like, look at everything that you've done. Girl, we all have a story. We've all gone through some things that we didn't like, that I know I had to change a lot. I know I've been changed. Okay, so look, I had to go through a whole lot of situations, but the good news is you get stronger. And there's a thought of gratitude, Serena, if you want to share that we have, and that comes from Serena herself. So I want her to share that one as well, because we all have a story to tell. And before you do that, hey, Georgette. Yes, indeed, child. I laugh at myself all the time. Good, Georgette. I know I'm not the only one. Child.
All right, here we go. It was easy for me to blame others for my problems. Once I realized this, I began to make repairs of elimination, modification, and change. It required honesty, as I mentioned earlier, but once you realize where you are, what needs to happen, what needs to potentially shift, as Tamara said, change it. In all caps, mind you. So if you so when you do go purchase the journal, when Tamara said change it, she meant that. Change it.
Absolutely. But, let's circle back to your thought of gratitude, though, Serena, because you said it was easy to blame others for my problems. That's that part, right? What the kids say, that part.
Right.
Because we stay in this victim mode, and this one did this to me, and grown people who haven't resolved childhood issues, it's a real thing. Like when you are not in a space of constantly growing, working on yourself, that's a conscious decision. Yeah. Personal growth and development. That's not something that we can take for granted that everybody's invested in. So our accountability with you and your ability to work with us and utilize the journal, be a part of our masterclass, is to take it to another level. It's stretching you from what's comfortable, because what's the truth? What's comfortable? Blaming everybody. It's not my fault. Yeah. My father didn't do this. My mother didn't do that. My sister did this. My girlfriend did that. The cat ate the dog and the dog kicked the cow. Like, whatever you are going to blame, you're blaming someone else, but taking ownership and being accountable for how you showed up, what you contributed to any situation, it's freeing, because then you're not giving somebody else external power over your ability to succeed. You're owning the part that you had to play. You're learning from it. You made the modifications that Serena talked about, and then you can really move on to being a better version of who you are. Every year we should be growing. Every minute, I dare say.
Yeah. So when I first wrote my book, I was in Chicago. It was a shelter for teens. And, whenever I actually had a speaking event in Chicago, and then I do that on the side, anywhere I go like that, I always try to go visit my teen. It was a shelter for teen moms. And so we got to discussing some parts of the book. And at that age, they're so young, they were all parents, and some of them have really been through some trauma in their lives. I mean, that's a fact. And so one of them asked the question, but there are some things that happened in her life that she didn't feel was her fault, that someone else did to her that affected her and really put her where she is now. And there are tons of people who feel like that. And I shared with her, that's really true. I'm not saying that it's your fault that someone did something negative to you, but at some part of your life, you're a mother now, you're responsible for other people now. You still have to take the responsibility to fix yourself out of that. to transform yourself out of that, to get the help you need to heal, to get out of that so that you can move on and that you can be there for this little one that you just had. And so I know there's a lot of people out there, when you get into the blame thing, it's easy to say, well, I didn't do that. I didn't choose to do this. He did that to me or whatever, because there are some traumatic things that happen, but your responsibilities come to heal yourself and get out of it, to get whatever resources, help you need to heal it so that you can move forward and live your life, because someone else is fine. They doing their thing and you're at home because of what they did to you, and you're feeling this negativity and you're pouring that negativity into this new child. So I just wanted to point that out, because I know that goes to people's mind instantly when you talk about taking responsibility, because there are some things that are out of our control, but it's still our responsibility to get beyond them, to move beyond them and be who we're supposed to be.
Absolutely. And hey, Kia, thanks for joining in. And she said, excuses are lies you tell yourself. Absolutely. Like when you go to the point of the trauma that happens, no, you can't take responsibility for somebody else inflicting trauma on you, but you can take responsibility for getting the help, the resources, not suffering in silence, forgiving yourself. These are things that you are in control of. So even when it is something that is so traumatic, don't try to get through it yourself. That trauma is real, and you need the professional services that are available to get through whatever level of trauma that is, or that self-introspection, to be able to work through what it did to you and then how you're now able to respond in a more self-aware way and heal. Because
Absolutely.
there's so many stories of triumph and healing, and that's why chronicling your story, your strategy, you shared the book. You know, we all share our content, our information in our individual books. Dream, Do, Done is a way of keeping people accountable along the path. So that's how you give back. And sometimes it's how you heal. So that's part of the process of whatever trauma. It didn't come to stop you. It came to teach you something that you're going to be able to teach somebody else. So that's the power in capturing and sharing our stories, sharing our information, sharing our resources, because what you went through is not for you. It's for the people that you're going to help and hopefully prevent from experiencing some of the traumas. And sometimes it's not trauma. Maybe it's just a life lesson that just didn't make sense. It was just a foolish decision, but you can shorten someone's learning curve. And when you said the young ladies, oh my Lord, now more than ever, do we need to make sure that everyone is mentoring in some way, shape, or form? We are seeing issues of so many. I don't want to name them because it'll bring our hearts down, but our kids are going through it. And COVID has added a layer of challenge to the whole educational spectrum. So at whatever point we can touch a young person's life, not just the ones that you physically gave birth to, but any young person that you can impact, say a positive word, mentor, support, someone in the community, just talking to people. Sometimes our kids feel invisible because they're just like all lumped into, oh, these young people, oh, they so disrespectful. They this. Sometimes they just need somebody to say, baby, fix your pants, pull that skirt down. You know, that weave don't fit you, boo. Like, you know, sometimes we just need to take them to the side and just say, I see you, but you can show up so much better. And not be afraid to do that, because that's how we pass on our knowledge to them. Will everyone be receptive? Maybe not. But will some? Like there was one day this young man was in front of me, pants sagging. I couldn't take it anymore. Y'all know I'm the mother of two young men. If I even see half an inch of a waistline shifting with mine, I go berserk. They're like, Ma, I just got up. Like, give me a second. Give me a second.
Look, I'm in the house.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm on that. You know, so I started a tick. Whoop, and I'm like, okay, let me calm down. But this baby boy, I could not take. I said, sweetheart. I said, really? Was that intentional, babe? You really need to pull it. So he looked at me, and I know he was like trying to think, like, how should I respond? But he could feel from the way I said it, I wasn't trying to be judgmental. I was really being a mother in that moment. And he was like, sorry, ma'am, sorry. And he immediately adjusted himself. I said, now you have a good day, baby, right? Because I could see you're brilliant, honey. And, you know, I just said some words to him, and he looked at me like, okay, she crazy, but I'm going to listen to what she said. But in that moment, right? In that moment, I saw him as my son. Like that could be my child. And, you know, we can't live in a world where we're so afraid of saying anything to anyone that we're not modeling behavior that we want to see. So, we made a lot of mistakes. Well, I'll raise my hand. I made a lot of mistakes, right? So I can't blame everybody for my mistakes. Have to learn from them. That could be some of their mistakes. That in a moment like that, it was a teachable opportunity.
Yep.
Now, he might go and do it again, but
I was going to say that's one of the reasons why I go to the teens, especially teen parents, because I was a young teen parent. I was 16. So I know what that feels like when people write you off and they tell you now you can't make it. So it's just an example of, okay, I was where you are. Look where, and just some of them get so excited that I even showed up, that I gave them books and they're like, oh my gosh, like you're on this book. Like they never see stuff like that. Some of them don't. And they have that experience of, oh, I can still do stuff. I can go to school still. I can do this. Like, yes, girl, I took my baby to Howard. Like just literally sharing some of that stuff. It really is just like very empowering to them, but they don't see anybody telling them they have options still.
Absolutely. So important.
Oh, look, I'm so full. No, I'm just so full from our conversation. I know that we all do philanthropic things off the screen that we typically don't share. The one thing that I would like to add to it is that sometimes it's not just teens, and sometimes it's not just young adults. And I'm not saying, but there's a young I'm mentoring that's 34. I'm 40. So when I heard she was 34, I'm like, girl, like you're grown. And I want to make sure we also put on the table is that age doesn't mean anything anymore, because this could have been the teen mother that was ignored, the young adult that was also just overlooked. And so we've got to make sure that just as responsible adults, responsible business owners, that we are reaching out. And I saw where one of our viewers said, delivery is very important, that we try to reach everyone where they are in the most respectful, loving way possible. Stacey, you may have changed that young man's life forever. Even if he, pulls down his pants as soon as he went around the corner, he will remember that you said it to him with love. And Tamara, again, you showing up at the team facilities in Chicago, major. And so I'm looking at the young lady that I'm helping that, again, 6 years younger than me. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you're 34. And I have to stop saying you're 34, because the mindset is that of someone who never taught her you can take back responsibility for your life. You don't like it, change it. So, literally, as soon as this podcast is over, I will be texting her a screenshot of this page, because it literally has, brought to life, what we need to do on a daily basis, on top of the grind, on top of the hustle, on top of everything else we're doing. Make sure that we're reaching back to individuals of all ages. And if if she's finally open now at 34 to get help, then I've got to go ahead and do what I got to do. So I'm gonna be calling y'all to say, hey, I need some help. But anyways, I'm just so full from the show. So I appreciate everything that's been said on this call today.
Well, we appreciate this dialogue, and Georgette and Kia, thank you for being a part of sharing. Meet people where they are, give them our knowledge, wisdom, and keep them encouraged. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's what it is. And we don't have to come from a space of we know it all, right? We're all developing. And so what capacity we have with what we've been able to experience and fine tune and streamline, then we share that. And sometimes you even share when you're in the middle of it. So you don't have to wait until you're fully baked, right? You're sharing along the way. This is what I'm experimenting with. This is what I'm thinking of. And that's how we grow. So this podcast every week, every Monday, 1-ish, is here to do just that. Hold you accountable. We talk about the subjects that keep you moving, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your family. Why? We are mothers, we are wives, and we're business owners. So we want to be able to share and be that space. And it's really heartwarming to know that during COVID, you all really dialed in, and like, we're so glad this is here. It was giving me some help, some lifeline throughout this whole period. And you stumbled on it. Well, I'm glad you did. God is good, honey. Won't he do it? Won't he will? So we appreciate the fact that you are here, and, we'll let Tamara close us on out today for the show.
No, this was a great show, and I love all the comments. I love when our audience is interactive, and they have just as much wisdom to share with our audiences as well. So thank you for that. I tell people a lot, you tend to teach what you struggle with the most. And that involves a level of transparency And I think this show is full of that. As you can see, if you go back 3 years, you'll see we've been very transparent about our journey and what it means to go from process to progress. So make sure you tune into our website, dreamdodone.com. Not only can you get your journal there, but you can find out about our mastermind classes. Sign up for one of those. I'm telling you, when this next one opens, it will go quick. So you want to be on that waiting list. And plus, if we know that there is interest beyond even this next session, maybe we'll create some more to accommodate. Who knows? But make sure you're in the waiting list so you can let us know what you want and need. But thanks so much. Tune in again, dreamdodone.com.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.